In this video, I'm going to talk about how to write effective paragraphs. Paragraphs are an important part of structuring your work, which helps you to communicate your ideas clearly. There are 4 features of effective paragraphs that we're going to look at: unity, structure, flow, and pace. So first of all, unity. This basically means one paragraph, one main idea. When writing an essay or report, it will obviously all be related to the same topic, for example, how a mobile phone works, but each paragraph will have its own particular focus. So in the mobile phone example, you might have one paragraph on radio frequencies, another on cells, and another on mobile telephone switching office, for example. The focus of each paragraph is usually decided and given in the first sentence, which we'll look at in more detail in the section on paragraph structure. Here we have an example from a student report of a paragraph. If you pause the video to read the paragraph and think about how effective is the unity. So the paragraph had a lot of interesting information about Brazil and biofuel policies and flex fuel vehicles, but there was more than one idea in the paragraph, as we can see from the different colours which are there to represent some of the different themes that came out. In the blue, we've got about Brazil's production of ethanol. In yellow, we've got Brazil's policies. In purple, we've got about flexi vehicle technology. And in green, we've got the need for changes to the policy. Now, you might read this paragraph and think, does it really matter? You know, it's an interesting paragraph, it's giving some interesting information, it's supporting it with evidence. What does it matter if it's mentioned more than one topic in that paragraph? Well, in one paragraph, perhaps it doesn't matter so much, but what happens is over the report, if each paragraph keeps being a mixture of themes like this one, it's hard for the reader to follow the argument of where we're going. It also leads to repetition and leads to ideas not being explored in enough depth. Often you get kind of superficial, surface explanation, but it doesn't go deep enough because it's not dedicated a paragraph to a specific topic. And that may mean that the reader is left to make the connection between ideas as well. So again, if you pause the video to read the two paragraphs here, where we've just reordered some of the information to put the blue topics, the topics about Brazil's production of ethanol in one paragraph together, and the purple topics of the flex fuel vehicle technology. So we haven't really rewritten the paragraph, we've just tried to group the ideas together to make the unity better. So you might want to pause and just reread that to see how the unity, each paragraph now has its particular focus. So now let's turn to look at the structure of a paragraph. The typical structure of a paragraph in an academic essay or report here would start with a topic sentence. This gives the main idea or the topic of the paragraph, and is then developed by supporting points. That topic sentence is what sets the unity of the paragraph, and if the supporting points start to talk about or present information outside of what the topic sentence said, that's where you can start to get problems with paragraph unity. The paragraph may also end with a concluding sentence. A concluding sentence might summarise the paragraph, although this isn't very widely used, or you might have a bridging sentence, which is where you end with an idea, which is then kind of moves into a new topic that is discussed in more detail as the focus of the next paragraph. You don't have to have either a concluding or bridging sentence, but if you do, the bridging is slightly more usual in longer pieces of writing. Okay, so now we've got back our two examples where we had tried to group the information to improve the paragraph unity. Now reread them, pause the video and think about how effective is the structure. Okay, so I think you can see that although we'd grouped the information, actually the structure could do with improving. In particular, that topic sentence. At the moment, the first sentence isn't really a topic sentence. It gives supporting detail as well as the topic, and the topic doesn't include the information for the whole of the paragraph, really. So let's look at how it might be rewritten. Here it's been rewritten to say Brazil's biofuel policies make it a significant producer worldwide, as well as impacting national use. This is obviously just one possible topic sentence. You may have thought up your own. This has been written this way to take out the supporting detail. Those are moved into the sentences that come later. And also to combine the ideas of worldwide and national use. And this helps to provide some structure to the rest of the paragraph. As you can see, the second sentence says Brazil is responsible for about 33% of the ethanol produced in the world. So we've got our worldwide, and then we move on to the gasoline that's used in Brazil and Brazil's policies. So we've got the national element as well. Okay, having looked at the unity and the structure, we're now going to focus on the flow. This is about the smooth movement of ideas from one to the next. What we want to avoid is gaps or jumping. Let's have a look at the following example from a piece of student writing. Detecting cracks in pipelines could avoid some disasters. The point of using WFE is that its reflections from joints and supports are known. Fractures and cracks could be detected. That you can see here there's quite a big jump between the two sentences. We've been talking about cracks in pipelines and needing to detect them to avoid disasters, and then suddenly there's a jump to WFE, which the reader may or may not understand the abbreviation. You'll also notice that actually the sentence ends with fractures and cracks could be detected. This would have been a better starting point to the sentence, because we'd then be moving from the familiar, the cracks, which we've already mentioned, to the unfamiliar, the WFE. As well as thinking about the smooth movement of ideas within the paragraph, it's important to be aware of the typical flow of a particular section. For example, an introduction often has an expected flow behind it. Normally we expect to see the real-world importance of the topic, what is already known, what are the gaps in knowledge, and then this then leads to your aims and objectives. What we'd also normally expect to see is a narrowing down, where you start with the broad need of the topic and then really narrowing the focus down throughout the introduction so that you end up at the specifics of your research. It's really important to keep moving the argument forward. We tend to present arguments in a linear fashion, so we don't want to be circling back ideas, keeping moving forwards one idea to the next. The Civil Engineering Writing Project by Portland State University, which I've given the link for here, has some really useful resources, in particular one about sentence structure, it's tasks number 3. There's a video which explains the importance of thinking about where the subject is in a sentence and where you want to focus the attention of the reader, and making sure that subject and the verb are close to each other. So have a look back at this paragraph and pause the video and think about how effective is the flow. Okay, you can see here that I have made some few changes from the original. So these are highlighted in bold. In the second sentence, I've changed it to Brazil is responsible for up to 53%. That's because I was trying to avoid the repetition, the slight inefficiency. We've talked about it being responsible for about 33%, and then in brackets it said some more recent studies point to 53%. It's best to avoid hiding information in brackets. The brackets kind of mean that you can ignore it. So either the information is important or not, but you don't want to be hiding significant amounts of content in there. Then as we follow further down, I've changed it to this progress to strengthen the link between the two sentences. And then we can really see at the end of the paragraph, we've ended with the idea of Brazil developing technology to find an alternative to petrol. And then the start of the next paragraph, one part of this industry, so referring back to the industry which is trying to find new fuel technologies, is Brazil's flexi-fuel vehicles. That sentence is ended with vehicles, and then the next sentence starts with these vehicles. It's okay, and in fact it is good at times to have that repetition of words or ideas to help the smooth flow of ideas. You wouldn't want to repeat the word within the sentence, but across sentences it can be very effective if it's a key word. Okay, the next area is pace. Pace is about moving and developing points at the right speed. You don't want to move too quickly and you don't want to move too slowly. Rushing is caused in particular by long sentences, as we can see in the example below. Its flex-fuel vehicle technology is based on the use of bioethanol and gasoline, trying to take out gasoline and use only vehicles. E100 initiatives from the producers and from the government, together with the engagement of research institutions, are all linked to develop the best possible technological solutions, both industrial and agricultural, to increase yield, efficiency and sustainability in the sector. In the same way that it's hard to read that all out in one breath, it's hard for the reader to process all of that information. It needs to be broken down. Another way rushing is caused is by if information is hidden in brackets. Both long sentences and hiding content information in the brackets often leads to ideas not being developed in enough depth. At the opposite end, you can also go too slowly, and kind of the argument stalls, doesn't move, doesn't progress sufficiently. This is caused by consistently short sentences, or each sentence not adding enough extra value from the previous sentence. This we can see in the example underneath. The north of Thailand faces a smoke problem caused by forest fires each year. The smoke haze problem in this region usually occurs during February until April. Forest fires emit many types of air pollutants such as particulate matter and toxic gases. These air pollutants affect the people's health, especially irritating to respiratory systems. So the main issue here is in that first two sentences. The first sentence tells us about the smoke problem caused by forest fires every year. Then the second sentence, how much new information does it actually tell us? The only real new information is the February until April, which we could have combined in that first sentence. So, just to recap, we've been looking at paragraphs and the importance of having good paragraph unity and one main idea per paragraph. It's important that paragraphs are clearly structured, with a topic sentence giving the focus of each particular paragraph, and then that these are developed by supporting points. You want your ideas in your paragraph to flow smoothly from one idea to the next and to keep moving forwards. Sentences may end with an idea that's picked up on at the start of the next sentence.